Alright, so here we go. This is part 3 to What If Female Deku Was a Lich. Now, where we last left off, I believe, was when Izumi had gotten a job as a teacher at UA, and Momo had gone into Class 1A. Now, since everybody knows what she looks like as the Pale Demon, she has hid her appearance a bit. So hold on, let me grab the picture that I'll use for her disguise. Give me a minute. Alright, here we go. This is her disguise. She, actually no, hold on. She won't have a disguise on. She'll just hide the horns. There we go, so she'll just hide the horns. Now, something I thought of after I did the second part. During those 10 months, Hawks and Mirako had gotten married and had a kid who Izumi looks after from time to time when they're doing hero work. So that'll be a bit of a thing for a while. So we'll then get to the first day of UA, where the class gets in as Aizawa then goes through his speech, and then they do the quirk assessment test, with that day going on as normal, just that Izumi is a teacher and not a student. Once they arrive at the history class, which is what Izumi will be teaching, with her then basically covering the feudal era of Japan, I believe, the feudal era of Japan with the class, and the day ends and then once the day ends, Momo then comes up to Izumi and asks if they're still going to be training together, as Izumi would respond with yes. As Izumi and Momo would head to somewhere that is outside of the village Izumi had established and away from the city, so they're training somewhere in the forest, with Momo practicing with her fire and lightning, and Izumi is helping her with it by them going through combat training, with the goal of the training being that Momo has to land one hit on Izumi, and it can range from a gash to a small scratch, and she would win. And once their training commences, a lot of the other UA students of Class 1A, so like Uraka, Shoto, and Ida, would notice some lightning and fire emitting from the forest, as they would go to investigate, with Izumi setting up some detection wards around the area while they're training, with Ida, Uraka, and Shoto triggering 3 of them, with Izumi saying that somebody is coming, as Izumi teleports away with Momo. And once Ida, Uraka, and Todoroki get into the clearing that they saw the lightning and fire coming from, all they see was some scorch marks from the lightning and fire, but nothing else. As Momo and Izumi would think that was a very close call, as they were hiding in one of the trees, with Izumi just darting around, see if anyone else is there, as they get down and continue with their training. Once Ida, Uraraka, and Todoroki leave the area. And this training would go on for the next couple months until the Heroes vs. Villains training, where that would go about the same, and then we'll get to the USJ incident with Izumi being there, but since she signed up and didn't register her quirk down, the students and the staff think that she is quirkless. So Bakugo still is getting a superiority complex over her and wouldn't listen to her because he thinks that she is quirkless. But Momo and everybody else does listen to her due to the fact that she is a teacher. As once they get to the USG, the League of Villains attack and state that they are here to kill All Might, and we have information. And we also know that the Pale Demon is here as well. As Momo and Izumi would begin to start panicking, thinking that they're going to find that the League of Villains know that she is here, and that they are going to find out who she is. With Aizawa going down to attack the League of Villains, telling 13 and Izumi to protect the children. Because even though she doesn't have a quirk, she has a brilliant combat capabilities. With Izumi standing guard and getting into a fighting stance, sort of like if you've seen the Demon Slayer Mugen Train, or read the Demon Slayer manga, her fighting stance is sort of similar to Upper Moon 3 Akaza's. So her fighting stance is sort of similar to Akaza's. When a few of the villains that manage to get past Aizawa end up running up to attack the students, with Izumi basically defeating all of them that came up. With everybody being impressed about Bakugo's fragile ego begins cracking, as he thinks, how could a quirkless nobody beat them like it was nothing? With Kurogiri then splitting everyone up, as he didn't canon, but 13 and Izumi still stay in the same place. With Kurogiri ending up doing the same thing to 13 as he did in canon. With Izumi beginning to panic, and everybody else beginning to panic. Now, All Might will take longer to get there than he did in canon, due to his time limit being a lot shorter. Oh yeah, and his successor to One For All is going to be, I'll say it's, you know what, I haven't seen anybody do this. The successor to One For All is going to be Hagakure. Yeah, Toru Hagakure is One For All's successor. So Hagakure does charge up One For All, begins to charge up One For All, as she would try to file some of the villains, and Izumi looks down and notices that that a lot of people are injured, and Momo is also incredibly injured, since the Nomu was sent after her, as the Nomu tosses her to the stairwell. And basically, that is legit the final straw. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. With the villains and all the students feeling an immense amount of pressure from Izumi as her disguise is lifted. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention what her disguise looks like. She essentially made her skin look normal. She had black hair, and she hid the horns and ears. And the clothing that she was wearing was also hidden under a teacher's uniform, which was also disguised brought by magic. Yes, that disguise burns away and dissipates as she returns to her Lich form, which is why I'm going to name the two forms, her disguised form and her Lich form, with Izumi. So I'm going to explain what happens here in like these next couple seconds. With Izumi creating a giant shadowy skeleton that sort of looks like a mix of the incomplete Susanoo from Naruto, you know, the skeletal one, and Eren Yeager's founding titan. As when that comes about, all the villains that were there are terrified as she raises the skeletal hand up, as it creates a massive ball of lightning, which she throws down, as she had created copies of herself to get all the students out of the range of the lightning blast. With Shigaraki telling the Nomu to stop that attack, with the Nomu going to block it, but since there's magic in all quirk, the Nomu's quirk doesn't really do anything to it, as the Nomu is basically fried, but it still begins to regenerate. With Shigaraki laughing, stating, "That's no use, this thing was made to kill All Might," as Izumi had snapped her fingers, as a bunch of skeletal hands and a flaming pit begin to open up, as skeletal hands begin to like grab at the Nomu and begin to drag it down, as Izumi is also already down there. She just blitzed down there, as she basically reaches into the Nomu's torso, as she begins to rip out the Nomu's soul. And I'm just gonna say this, she still doesn't, her Lich form basically runs on a D&D Lich logic, so like she needs a supply of souls to keep herself in this state of between life and death. So I'll explain some of the rules of the village. The villagers in the village, when their time has come to pass, they basically get the choice of whether they want to have their soul set free, or they want to keep it, or they can be used to keep Izumi alive. And a majority of the villagers who have passed do usually end up giving their souls to Izumi to keep her alive. So while she's ripping out the Nomu's soul, and this isn't a pleasant process, this is a painful process, so the Nomu is basically like screeching as Izumi is beginning to tear out the soul slowly and slowly, until the point where it's fully ripped out, as the Nomu's soul basically basically gets sucked into her hand, as the Nomu then falls down dead, with her glaring her two red eyes at Shigaraki and Kurogiri, as they end up escaping, with Izumi putting back on her disguise as she looks over, as she begins to walk back up to her students and say, "We do not speak of this again." as she begins to walk off. With All Might arriving, as he notes that all the villains have been knocked down, and the Nomu is lying there dead. As the pros asked what happened, now the people who do respect Izumi tell them that a vigilante showed up and basically killed that Nomu and dealt with the villains. But Bakugo tells the police that the pale demon showed up and basically killed that Nomu and dealt with all the villains. Now, a lot of people, some of the police find that skeptical, that everybody told the same story, but Bakugo didn't. So, Bakugo was given a warning by the police, stating, as they say, this is not a joking matter, and that this is a warning. If you do this again, we will basically revoke your right to become a hero. As Bakugo would keep his mouth shut, with the day ending with everybody getting 2 weeks off, as Izumi and Momo begin their training, and in those 2 weeks, Momo and Izumi do begin to bond a lot more, where their teacher-student relationship becomes stronger. As one day Momo finds Izumi in her study room with a picture, with like a hand-drawn image of Izumi with what appeared to be a dragon. As Momo would ask, who is that? As Izumi would then state that this was her girlfriend, Ryuko. As Momo would ask what happened to her, would ask because she hasn't seen her around the village, as Izumi would then state, we were separated around 1,000 years ago after we had lost after that we were separated about 1,000 years ago, and I haven't really seen or heard from her ever since then. As Momo would think about where she's heard that name before, as she would then state, isn't there a pro hero named Ryuko? As she would ask her if she could get her a picture of her. As Momo would go onto her phone and search up an image of her, as she would hand it to Izumi, as Izumi would look at it and recognize the difference, recognize the dragon form and the human form which Ryuko has. So I'm just saying, in this one, Ryuko is an actual dragon, so it's not her quirk. She disguises it as her quirk, but in actuality, she is a full-blown dragon. As Izumi would basically be happy that Ryuko is still alive and kicking, that she would begin to start tearing up. As Momo would ask if she was alright, as Izumi would then state, yeah, I'm fine, it's just that I haven't seen her in such a long time. I'm getting emotional. As Momo would understand this, as that both of them would get back to training about a day later, with Momo arriving back to the school with the news of the sports festival staying there within a week. And that is where I'm going to end it off. I do hope you guys enjoyed this, And if you want to see another part, I will make another part. So I'll see you guys next time.